Hi guys, welcome to Space Cadettes. I am Bean, joined by Shanice and Jenna. They both work at the comic store Space Cadettes. I used to. I am still a customer there, but I went off to pursue my very not evil scientific endeavors.
Doc Ock office.
Distinctly not evil.
I'm pretty sure you're working in an alternate dimension at Doc Ock's, research facility as the head researcher. That is what I'm going to go with.
Yes, let's go with that. I'm gonna put it on my resume now. That's gonna look really good.
Head researcher for Doc Ock.
And so our first thing, which I'm really excited to hear, talk about, we were kind of discussing briefly before we started recording today, is how, when you're sitting down to read comics, how do you get comfy? Like, what's the setup?
So I have two, but Shanice, do you want to go first?
The way I read my comics is basically crisscross applesauce, or I just lay down and read my books, depending on what's happening in the book. If it's something that's just making me freak out, I'll roll over to my stomach and just go through it and kind of just do that. But if it's just like a super chill book or a super happy, nothing bad happens, I'm just on my back, just flipping through it and just all relaxed. But yeah, what about you, Jenna?
So I have two positions. So our couch is a big L couch, and I have the corner spot. And then I can lean up on the back end and just sort of sit in my corner and I'm reading. And then something happens, I can be like, what? Just And then the other way is on my stomach in bed, where it's right there in front of me. I'm just kind of laid out, good stretch. Like, oh yeah, this is a good relaxing. That's not relaxing. Why did you kill the person? I can just sit here yelling at the book. Yeah. So those are the two ways that I read my comics. And what about you, Bean?
So it's not a big deal, but I do have some chronic back pain. So my position is all about I cannot lay on my stomach. There's so many ways I thinking about laying on my stomach, propping up for an extended amount of time. Oh my God. So my method is I get on a couch or in a chair, I get really comfy. I got my blanket. And I get my stack of comics, I get my snacks, I get my drink, I get everything so I don't have to move for a long time. And I get it, and I always have put a pillow in my lap or something to hold my comic book.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like the pillow, and then I put the comic on there. And that way, I don't even have to really hold it up. I also have a little bit of a thing about touching the comics. I'm very careful about I don't touch my comics more than I have to. So I think that's also contributes to. So I have it laid on the pillow and then I just read. Also, it keeps it out of my dog's paw range.
Yeah.
He will try to lick the book sometimes, which I don't want him to do.
I don't know. Depending on the book, maybe it's tasty.
I don't know.
Because I've had that problem too. Han will be right next to me, and he'll just what my book? Why is my book tasty?
That's a test that we do on an episode. We put out I don't know what comics we would not care about. We put out Marvel, a DC, and an image, and we see which one the dog wants to lick. Taste test.
No, I think my dog would eat all of them because my husband Jay, who's behind the scenes for us today, taught him how to eat money. So we have to be very careful. If you have cash in the house, like if you have cash in your hand, he'll think you're holding a treat.
Why would he do that? Like, why?
He thought it was funny. He was like, here's money. And then he started like, so Hand is very, very protective of me. He doesn't like anybody near me. He doesn't like anybody to touch me. Right. So when Jay went to hand me something, so for money, he didn't like that. So he started barking at the money. So Jay was like, here's the money. Look at the money. Look at the money. You want the money?
Oh, no.
And he ate a $1 bill. And now he thinks all cash is snacks. He didn't fully eat it. He had it in his mouth and he was walking around with it. So I don't think putting comics in front of him is a good idea.
It'd be a good source of fiber, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, Jay put in the behind the scenes thing. He was like, well, he was using the money to buy puppy snacks. Doug is the name of your dog. Does he ever like try to get between you and the comics like Hand does? Like he's like, no, don't read. You need to have me here.
Yeah, that's his main motivation is like to try to get on the comic because I'm paying attention to the comic and I should actually be paying attention to him. I've just become confused. So
our puppies are definitely into comics in a different way than we are. We'll leave it at that. And now I have a question for everybody because everybody knows at my store, I am the queen of horror comics. I love horror comics. I talk about them. It's one of my favorite questions. Like people come in the store, I was like, oh, I want something really horror. And I'm like, stop right there. What kind of horror you want? So my question to you guys is, what is your like scariest comic that you ever read? Either scariest comic or favorite horror comic. Let's do it that way. Let's do it a 2-part question. Shanice, you want to go first?
So I've got a lot of like favorite horror comics that are just fun to read. But if we're talking about a book that genuinely scared me, it was actually an issue in the Sandman series. It was the story that took place in a diner over the course of about 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
The only book that was legit, like the only book where I actually had to put it down is like, I'm just going to read Sandman later. Because that was my first time reading it. And this is after everyone's like, it's one of the greatest comics of all time, which it is. You got to read it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm reading this book where it's like, oh, they're in a diner. Nothing can go wrong. Everything can go wrong.
Everything.
And I remember reading somewhere like supposedly like it was so shocking at the time where shops were like, yeah, people actually they just had to like stop reading the book for a while because it was so disturbing. So that's my answer. My favorite like horror comic in a book that's not even like a horror book is 24-Hour Diner. That I was thinking about it. I just
so I actually just today, because I've always wanted to read Sandman. I'm like a really big Neil Gaiman fan of like everything else, but I've really struggled to be able to because the trades are so hard to find.
Yeah.
But just today, when I stopped on my way home from work to get my comics for the week, I like just today picked up volume 1 because they just re-released them.
Yes.
For the coming Netflix show. And so I'm finally going to get to read it and I'm really excited, but I don't really understand because so is the 24-Hour Diner, is that in the main story or is that like a side story?
It's in the main story. Like it's like you're gonna like since you had like the first book, you're gonna see it like pretty quickly. Like it's only the first couple of issues. It's when you read it, you know what you think. It's through a loop when I read it. It's like, oh,
you're gonna get to that point, Bean, and text one of us and be like, "What? WTF, mate?"
Yeah,
it's good though. It's so good. That was one of those series that I had to read online because it's there are some points of it where the writing is really small or they just like hide it in the corner. So that was one of the ones that they did release online like a year or two ago, I want to say, and I got to read it. I was like, oh,
I'm so excited. I was really, really happy. As soon as I came in, I was like not planning on spending money on like a book. I was planning on just getting my comics and leaving, but I was just like, I need this. Like I've been waiting for so long for this. Yes.
Oh, okay. Jay just told us IMDb says there's going to be a short for 24-Hour Diner. Oh, how are they going to do that? Anyways, okay, Shanice, what was your favorite horror?
Like comic? Well, yeah, so that issue is like my favorite horror issue, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that'd be my answer, because if we just went over all my favorite horror stories and comics, we're gonna be here for a very long time. So throw it over to somebody.
Being it's your turn.
I will say, one time when I was working at Space Cadets, I scared somebody because a lady was like, "Hey, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of like just getting into comics. I don't really read comics. But if you could like suggest something." So like, I'm already, I think we all love those customers because it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like having somebody come in and be like, "I don't know what I like," and then you get to like help them.
Yeah.
I mean, like Jenna gives people a full tour. Like it's the Jenna's tour of comics that she can, like if you would like a tour of comics, come to Space Cadets, like, and but I was like, and I asked her, I was like, well, what do you like? Like what kind of movies do you like? And she's like, oh, I love horror, and I was like, oh. I don't know how I reacted, but I was so excited that it scared her. And she was like, oh. and I wonder if maybe she thought I was like appalled by her like horror. But I was like, no, I love horror comics. I'm so excited. Let me show you. And so I think I've got to pick my comic I gave to her that day. But mostly because she then came back. I saw the same customer 2 weeks later coming back to get the rest of the volumes, which it was Gideon Falls.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely amazing. And I will say that, like, this is definitely, I've discussed before that I don't really feel scared from like comics very often. So, or like books in general, I just don't feel scared. So I don't know which one would be the scariest one for me, but Gideon Falls is definitely just like, it's a beautiful book, and it does have very creepy parts in it. The parts that really got me, which is not really a spoiler, even though it takes a while before you see it, where the cockroaches are like crawling into people's mouths. It's bad. But that one, and just the art style, because it's horror and it also has to do with like multi-dimensional weirdness, and just like the art style is so, number one, creepy, and number two, they play a lot with like literally the panels are like warping and twisting, and like I don't know, it makes the panels like a part of a landscape. Like you feel like you're in the panels, and when it gets all warped and twisted, like you kind of get this like feeling.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just love that book so much. But Jenna, what is yours?
So my two. The one that actually, so there was one book that did actually give me the like, because I could see it happening in real life, and I was like, oh no. And it's a book. It's a completed all-in-one trade book out by Aftershock called A Walk Through Hell, where it's have you guys both read it?
No, you just recommended it.
These two detectives are chasing this criminal, and they end up going into a warehouse after him. They don't know why. By the time they show up to this warehouse, SWAT team has already gone in there. Other teams have nobody has ever come out. And they're just like, this is a warehouse. Where are the people? And they think this criminal that's in there has just like killed them or something, right? So they're trying to negotiate for people back. So they go in there, and it's a think TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside. Warehouse maze that once you're in there, you can't get out, and your sins of your past and your worst nightmares are alive. And as they're going through this warehouse trying to find any of their people or trying to find the criminal, they come across one of the other detectives that had been in there before, and there's bullet cases all around him. And they're just like, hey, what happened? This and that. And then they see this bullet hole in the back of his head. He's been sitting there trying to kill himself over and over and over again, trying to get out of there. And that's when they start realizing this is not a warehouse. This is not an abandoned warehouse. This is not an abandoned warehouse right now. And it's one of those psychological thrillers because neither one of them really believe in this stuff. Like they don't think any of that kind of thing is like real. And they're like, oh, you know what? Maybe there's a gas leak and it's playing with our minds. And then the chick detective is like, there is no way any of this is really happening. But then personal things from their past start like confronting them. And so I don't want to spoil it, but yeah. Oh my gosh. So I could actually, because there's so many abandoned warehouses across like just everywhere. Maybe one of those is the entrance to hell.
I totally forgot that you started that by saying you thought this might actually happen. Like, I'm just imagining you now have a phobia of warehouses.
I do a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is a whole bunch of abandoned warehouses. We don't need to be here. Nope. We're going to turn away. Turn around. Every now and then I get away from the warehouses. So that one actually did, like, the way it was drawn and told almost like it was a realistic story. Mm-hmm. So that one did actually give me the heebie-jeebies, like, no. But my favorite one, and I go back to read this one all the time, is also by Aftershock, is called Dark Ark. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Have either one of y'all read that one?
Nope.
Okay. So the art style is a little more extreme and it like is sharper, like just like it's so good. It's very different than other comics that we've read before. And everybody knows the tale of Noah's Ark, right? 40 days, 40 nights, flooding the world, all the animals in the world, right? What if Satan had an ark? And it has things like unicorns and succubus and vampires and other demons and all of that. And they actually have to help Noah's Ark survive. And they accidentally get visited by the angels because the angels think all humans look alike. And they think that, Noah, what do you want? Why are you calling us? And they're like, we're so sorry. We had a moment of weakness, but we are good now. Angels. So, and things ensue. Like, there's this one creature that's lion and like wings, and I forget exactly what kind of creature it is in mythological history. But he actually takes a liking to the humans that are on board, and all the other creatures hate him for it. They're like, oh, your mate is pregnant. You need to be with her. And why are you defending them? We should just kill them and eat them. And he's like, I'll kill them if they ever cross me. But if you do it, I'm going to eat you. And you're just like, well, this escalated quickly. And I love going back to read it because it's one of those like dark and gritty ones, and the art style of it is also like dark and gritty, but it has pops of these bright, beautiful colors, like the unicorns that are just randomly surrounded by all of these creatures, and the vampires are drawn in such a way that you're like, ooh, wow, nightmares. So that's my like, those are my two favorite horrors of like, it's my favorite and one that actually like legit kind of scared me a little bit.
So one comic I wanted to talk about, which I'm pretty sure we've all read, is The Nice House on the Lake. And that one, I'm enjoying it so much Like, I think going in, I thought it was just going to be like, guy invites people to a house, and all of a sudden, like, they start getting murdered. It's like murder mystery. And that's not what that book is. I was like, what the heck? Like, did you guys have that same experience with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's so good. And like, I don't want to like give too many spoilers, but also I don't know if we can spoil it because what the heck is going on? So I'm still in the very beginning of it where it's like the main guy is like an extraterrestrial and he's decided to save this little pocket of humanity. But like, is that true? Big if true, you know? Like,
I don't know what kind of like how spoiler do you want it?
Yeah, it's one of the things, like, I think the more vague we are about it, the better, because it's honestly one of those books, like, it's so much better to go in just, like, completely blind.
Yeah.
It was, because I was like, oh, cool, so James Tynion has another book coming out, and I'm reading what the fudge, because I thought it was going to be just, like a haunted house slasher book, and it's like, oh, this is something else completely different, and I love it.
Yeah.
And on a quick side note, if either one of you are aliens, I would love to be in a little pocket.
My pocket is my house.
I hope I haven't angered you both, either one of you today. So on the list, please. But yeah, the book is fantastic.
Yeah. All I can say is, I hope Jay puts up this meme later. Aliens.
Yeah.
I same as Shani said. If either one of you are aliens, please put me on your list. I'd be so grateful. Let's just make a pact, all three of us. If one of us is aliens, all three of us are together in that pocket, please.
Okay. All right.
I'll bring my comics.
Yeah. I feel like if any of us were preparing a bubble, it's Jenna for just like amassing like a museum of nerd awesomeness in her house.
Oh my gosh, a museum. My niece called it a library today.
Yeah, it is basically. It's goals.
I've never been called goals before. Thank you. Like, genuinely, thank you. Like, I like to fill my house with just like things I like, you know. And I have so many nieces and nephews that I want it to be a place where they feel like they can be themselves. Of just like, oh, I want to be nerdy. Oh, I want to go hide and read a comic. Oh, I just want to go play a video game. Oh, I just want to, because that's how I want my house to feel. I want to feel like everybody's getaway, or everybody's like relaxed, come here, do what you want.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll have to post pictures sometime.
Yeah.
Because it's a half-acre backyard, and I love camping and stuff too. So any of the kiddos and friends and stuff like that who like outdoor stuff, I've got that covered too. Thanks, Bean. I'm almost crying.
Oh no.
My house is goals. Because you see this right here, this is partially my bedroom. So
I know like this, you guys have kind of like activated me because of horror comics, and now my mind is like, sometimes we're talking about stuff and my mind is a blank, but I feel like my mind is like too full now. But like,
we put Bean overload. That's what we did.
Yes. And so, because I have one in mind, are there horror comics coming out in the future that you guys are already excited about, or they're coming out like right now?
Oh, yes. Can I go first? I want to go first.
Yes.
Okay. The second story arc of Stray Dogs. As of the time of this feeling, only 2 issues is out, and the third issue is supposed to be coming out. It's another 5 issue arc, I think. It's either 5 or 6. I think it's 5. I love this series. You would not think, like, you guys know Stray Dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
for anybody out in the audience, I'll kind of give you this idea. It is Disney-style drawn dogs of every type. There's even a 3-legged Dalmatian, and oh gosh, so cute. Excuse me, I'm back now. And what happens to them? And this is the whole story is done through the dog's perspective. So it's done through the dogs. You know, dogs remember differently. They remember things by scent instead of how we just remember things by seeing things. Well, what's happening to them is they're being taken by a serial killer. So what the serial killer is doing is he goes to a dog park. He sees a dog and he's like, I can love that dog better than its owner. So I'm going to go to their house. I'm going to kill the person. I'm going to take their dog. So there's literally like a dozen dogs at this house in the middle of nowhere. And he has a house full of like trophies from his kills. And the dogs find this room and they remember the scent of their owner. And then they're also remembering like everything from before with that original owner. And I'm not going to tell you how it ended. The first series ended, but now we're on the second series. And where's my book number 3? It got delayed, and I need now. It's so good. Okay.
Is that the thing? Have a lot of books been delayed? Because one of my big faves that I've been waiting on got delayed again.
I think they have. I think the paper shortage and the ink shortage is really hitting the industry hard right now.
Okay. Yeah, because I need answers.
I know. Oh, God, I know. Because I know a couple of other companies have actually like stopped doing second prints and reprints. So we're just kind of sitting here waiting. Shanice, do you have anything you're waiting for?
Yes, there's that series that came out this week, A Town Called Terror.
Oh, yes.
I do want to check that out because I like the writers. I like the writers like other books or other books. There is a night. So I was like, oh, definitely gotta check that out. But the story is sold out, and this is what I get for not putting it in my pull list. But when I do get a chance to read it, it'll be a good day.
Yes.
And also, I saw when I went to get my books today, I saw it's a new one in the Sandman universe written by Chinian. Like, do either of you guys know anything about that? I didn't pick it up because I'm not that deep in it. I just didn't know.
I think I have it in my pull box, but I haven't picked up my pull box yet. Other than that, I know nothing. So I'm going into this blind. I'm so excited. It's supposed to be in the Sandman universe, and that's all I know.
Yeah. I know the cover had like that I saw had like a person, and they're like eyeballs, like a mouth, like a tongue. I love that stuff. So gross.
Was it? Okay, this might be a little off topic, but I've been trying to remember this. There's a movie where somebody, it's like an older woman that looks like she's dressed from the 20s, and she has mouths for eyes, and she kills people or something. Does that ring a bell to anybody?
Mm-mm.
Like I remember somebody's ringtone in it was like do 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 do. Because every time somebody saw this lady, their phone would ring with that ringtone.
She has mouth for eyes,
yes.
And she has the ability to change people's ringtones.
I literally just talked about this with Alfie earlier today, and I already forgot the name. It was a terrible movie. Oh,
1 missed call.
Yes. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Producer.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so that movie popped in, like the scene in the movie popped into my head when I saw that cover. And then for like 3 days, I was trying to figure it out. And then I talked to Alfie about it, and she knew. And then I instantly forgot again. And I was like, I remember this movie, and it was not very good. And she was like, oh, yeah, the Japanese version of this is even worse. And I was like, what? It's usually the opposite, but okay. And and then for some, I guess it was so forgotten in my mind that I instantly forgot again.
I have a way weirder one that's been in my brain for like several months, and I can't remember. And like maybe I can throw it out to like audience, like even if you guys are, It's like the weirdest, smallest detail in a book or a movie or something, but I'm pretty sure it was in a book I read, but in the story, one of the characters has nail polish that has a scent to it, and the scent is of like decay, and like it's like a plot point in the whole story how this character has like nail polish, kind of like a sickly sweet smell. And it's been bugging me so much because like I don't remember where that's from.
Hey guys, we'll be right back to discuss more horror comics in a little bit.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome everybody to Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadettes.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody, welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
Welcome back. We just took a quick break, and we're here to discuss more horror. See, when you said nail polish, for some reason that made me think of what's that book? It made me think of Holes, because I remember because she would have like the venom on her nail polish, and she scratched somebody. I know it's not Holes, but I don't know why. That's my first immediate thought. But that sounds crazy though. Like
every time I think nails and decaying and death, I always think of Nail Biter.
Oh gosh,
I didn't want to finish that one. I never got to finish that series. I want to read that. I know it's not that one, but
okay. Oh my gosh, we'll have to throw it out, Mr. Producer or anybody else, or even all the audience, if you guys know something about decay on nail polish.
Yeah. It's like a thing in the book of like how it's like a bad smell, but like as like it's like almost like symbolic of like that character's like power over everyone else, because it's like a bad smell, but then it like gradually like people almost become like the main whatever character is like interacting with that is like oh it's actually kind of like a good smell actually, even though it kind of smells like death, because it's actually kind of good, you know. So I don't think it's American Gods, which is the producer's guess.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't read that, so.
By the way, about American Gods, I have to throw this. I'm so sorry about this, guys. It got canceled, and I am mad. I am like red in the face mad about it. I love the series, love the comics, love the books, and they canceled it. And them there is fighting words.
The show, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know the show needed more seasons. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but I thought it was like its own story contained in one season. Okay.
I think it was 3 seasons in is when they canceled it. Because like after the first season, they were like, let's go bigger. And then after the second season, they were like, let's go bigger. And I was like, yes. And then they left us with that ending and they canceled it.
So I just realized that I was getting American Gods confused with Good Omens.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Good Omens, the second season just finished filming.
Okay.
I'm
So
super
still
excited.
wrong. Still wrong, but I got the right series to be wrong about.
What about you guys? Do either of you have like either a comic or a show or something that was canceled that has made you just like not violent, but I don't know, crave violence a little bit? You know what I mean? Like just made you that angry. What about you, Bean?
I am a person that a lot of times I won't start something until it's done. Like I won't start a series until it's done, and a lot of times I don't watch like series that have more than 3 seasons or so.
Oh no.
I just watch, like, if you ever hear me recommending things, usually it's gonna be like very short because I think I get really intimidated by like very long series.
So don't recommend Supernatural or Smallville. Got it.
Or One Piece. Good God, not One Piece.
Oh God, or Fairy Tale.
Oh, there is a movie series though. So they only made one of them, and I really wanted them to make the rest of them. Although this is like kind of a controversial take, so be prepared. But The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that series got made. The Swedish version got made. I loved the American version, and I really wanted more of that, like with Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara as the main characters. But Daniel Craig became James Bond, and they couldn't afford him anymore. And that's literally the reason they stopped making them. But because also, like, David Fincher was also making those, and that's like my favorite director. So, and I love it. So it was just like all the things I love. But I only got to see the first one was the only one they made of the 3 books.
I will join you on that hot take because I also prefer the American version over like the Swedish version. Yeah. Not that the Swedish version was bad, but there's something about the American version I just loved, like the performances and, like you said, Fincher's direction and the score. So I love that movie, and I'll always be bitter about the fact we never got like the rest of the series, but we got that random spinoff that no one really wanted. But yeah,
what spinoff?
So it was, it came out 2-3 years ago. It had the actress from The Crown playing what's her name, Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. So it had a completely different casting, and it was based off of a book that, from what I remember, wasn't written by the original writer, but just written in that universe. And it bombed, and I don't know. I think that just might be it for that franchise here stateside, which sucks because the books were pretty good from what I remember reading them. Yeah, I loved the books, but also it was like that's a series that's so specific because those are the only books that author ever wrote. He spent his entire life he actually was a political scientist, I think would be like his term. He spent his entire life like studying extremist groups and working within like government, and then he wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, like the trilogy, which I think is called like the Millennium Trilogy or something. Yeah. So the whole reason he wrote it is because he saw a lot of flaws in some of the laws in Sweden or in Norway, my bad. But he saw like ways that people were falling between the cracks and being exploited, basically, in the system they had set up, especially for dealing with minors. Mm-hmm. So that's like, even though it's like a very cool like murder mystery, the bigger story that we didn't get to see in the American version really because it takes place in books 2 and 3 is about like exploitation and about trying to overcome that. So it's so cool. It's so deep. Like, I love it so much. But
I remember the movie and I remember the books. I didn't know all of that. And the series that Shanice is talking about, I need to find. All right. And Shanice, did you have a series that got like canceled or like how Bean did? a franchise that got canceled that you just like made you not happy?
There's two. Well, I've got a few, but the ones that just after all this time, it still just bothers me. It was a show that was on was it Cinemax? It was called Quarry, and I'm a sucker for any form of media that takes place in the South because born and raised here. And it was this kind of like it was this neo-noirish story that took place in the South, and it took place during the beginning of the 1970s, right at the end of the Vietnam War, which is very, very plot relevant. It was such a good show, and that main actor, I know people call him like they call him like Tom Hardy's evil twin or whatever, because he looks very similar to Tom Hardy. It's very strange. Well, not strange, but it's cool. But that was a show that I wish more people would check out, but unfortunately, it's not on any streaming service. And it's like I want people to watch this, but I want them to watch it legally. So maybe they're like, oh, let's bring it back, like how they did that show.
Futurama?
Not Futurama. Was it Warrior?
Oh yeah.
I'm happy that they brought that back. That they're bringing it back for another season. That show, and there's a show that is also based off of a comic book from Greg Rucka. It was called Stumptown. And the frustrating thing about that one, they renewed it for a second season, but then Ray Panini happened and stopped production, and they canceled it. And it's like,
yeah.
What is that one about?
So it's about a detective who works in Portland, Oregon. It's really fun because she is. So I love female characters who are just a mess. I really so much.
I think that's where we all get along.
So it's just her just solving mysteries and dealing with things in her personal life. I would recommend it. I believe it's on Hulu, which it should because it was on ABC. What's the actress's name? She plays Maria Hill in the MCU.
Colby Summers?
That's one. Yeah, her. Yeah, that's the one. So she plays the main character. Jake Johnson is in it. It was such a fun show. And it's like, thank you for renewing it, and you took it away from me. Okay.
Oh my gosh, Smolders. That's her name, Smolders. I forgot the L and D. Okay. I had one more. I had one more that I was kind of sad about. So there was a show back, and I think it was like 2005, 2006. They actually canceled it midway through the first season. I was so upset, and it's not streaming anywhere. It actually had Peter Dinklage in it. It had a whole all-star cast in it. And again, the main character, such a mess. She is such a mess that she's just like, I tried to meal plan, but I meal planned for my dog instead. You're like, well, I mean, okay, you've got something. And her main job is she's like the person who writes the situations for the most outrageous situations, right? Like, what does the government need to do if said outrageous situation happens? Well, she gets told she's out there doing a talk at a college. She comes home, and then the CIA comes in helicopter, and they're like, there's a situation. And she's like, which one came around? And they're like, Threshold. Bam, there's the credits because the name of the show is called Threshold. And it's alien contact. But the situation she wrote for was crashed alien contact infection.
Oh.
So what happened was, and they show in the very first 10 minutes of the first episode, where a spaceship comes down and it's sitting there, and it's almost like one of these it goes in and out, like it's in a fourth dimension, so you can't tell that it's actually a spaceship because it's going in and out of shapes in front of a fisherman's boat.
Whoa.
And they start mutating, and some of them don't survive the mutations, and other ones it's just brainy bits get mutated, and they're trying to get their message out to the rest of the world, and their job is to stop it. And the whole reason I have my degree and what I have my degrees in is because of Peter Dinklage's character, where he was like a master's and a doctorate in linguistics and mathematics and was able to cross them over. And that's how he was also able to tell if somebody was actually an alien or not. Because he would read their file, like, oh, this person's from Minnesota. These are the acronyms they use in this area. And then if they're interviewing this person and they use those acronyms, he's like, haha, there you go. That's not an alien. And I just loved it because the people that were aliens just wanted to mutate us because we were all about to die.
Oh.
So the first 4 episodes are really slow and going, but then after that, it was like so good. And it's literally packed full. And every single episode, you're like, oh my God, it's this person who's in everything. Oh my God, it's this person who's in everything. Right. And yeah, because the first 4 episodes were slow to get views, they canceled it. It was supposed to be 20 episodes for the first season. And they canceled it and aired up to 12 episodes. And then 13 episodes they released at some point online. And that was it. They canceled it. And you can't find it anywhere on streaming services. And I really do think this is one of those shows that if you could find it, people would watch it like crazy. Because it was so ahead of its time for some of the CGI and some of the like psychological things that they were doing. They were so ahead of their time.
Yeah. It was called Threshold?
Yeah.
Netflix. Picked it up.
Hulu. I don't care. Amazon Prime. What else is there? Paramount. HBO. Max. Come on.
Yeah.
Pick up our shows.
Please.
I've been holding that one in since like 2006. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, man. There was one I started watching. It was like similar of like the first few episodes were so good. But also... I almost want to say that maybe this show was affected by, because remember there was the writer's strike too. Yeah. So like certain shows made at certain times have weird stuff that happens in them with writing. But I think this one, they got told that they were getting canceled halfway through the first season. And I don't know, or something, because like the first half of it's so good, the second half did get made, but it makes no sense. Like literally no sense at all. Like episode to episode, you're just like, what's happening? Like, so it was called Ghosted. Did either of you guys see that one?
No.
So imagine if the X-Files, it's the X-Files, but instead of Mulder and Scully, the 2 actors playing it are Craig Robinson and the guy who plays Ben Wyatt on Parks and Rec. What is his name?
Oh my gosh. Phyllis Scott.
I see his face.
Yeah, Adam Scott. There you go.
Okay.
I think that's him. Anyway, so they're and it's comedy. Like, so it's like X-Files, them hunting him down for like secret government agency, but with those 2 guys, and it's hilarious. And like, it literally is like the backstory of like Adam Scott's character has the same backstory as Mulder from the X-Files, but it's with his wife, where like his wife was like abducted by aliens and no one believes him. And so it was such a cool show and it was so funny. And like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know why. I think I did the thing where I tried to do an internet deep dive and I read something about like the time it came on, it didn't work. Like everybody was watching something else. Like, but it was so funny. Oh, it was so good.
Oh my goodness. Like there's so many out there, but we'll have to come back to that because right now, it's time for Pick of the Week. We read Shanice's book. So Shanice, tell us about the book, and then we'll tell you how we felt about it.
So, in honor of Moon Knight being out on Disney Plus, which you all should watch, I to read the first issue from Mr. Lemire's run of Moon Knight, and I'm just curious to know what you guys thought about it, because the run is fantastic, and I hope that you guys will continue to read it, because it has to be like my second favorite Moon Knight run, like just ever. But I'm honestly curious to know what y'all thought about it.
As soon as I had the trade in my hand, I read the whole trade.
Oh,
put it down. Oh my gosh. So I really liked how it was. Like at first, I was a little like, okay, so maybe he's a little crazy. Okay. I see you. That's a lot of sand. Okay. You just sold that dude's soul. All right. Hey, look, we're in space now. All right. I'm still here. I got you, boo. We're in space. There are space werewolves. Embrace your crazy. I feel that one. And then that ending. But was that necessary? And that's how without spoiling it, that was my actual play-by-play reactions as I was reading it. I loved it.
I'm so excited to read the rest of it now, because I barely got through the first issue because I've been working a lot this week, and so
really working you, huh?
Yeah, and so I immediately, though, it's funny because, like, of course, like with Moon Knight coming out, like they've been reprinting a lot of these runs, and so like as soon as I saw, because I love Jeff Lemire and I love Tom Smallwood, because I got introduced to him recently with The Human Target, and his art like is so perfect for stories like this, for like psychological, like really getting into it. And so I am still very much at the point where I'm just like, what the heck's going on? Is this literally just all in his mind? Like, what's going on? And I love that, because I love psychological stories. Like it's actually like Shanice, I've been reading Moon Knight for a little bit now, and Shanice is the reason why I read it, because she was like, I think I remember, like, you specifically said to me one day, you were like, because you were like, everyone talks about Moon Knight being crazy, but that's very like that's so simplistic. It's really, he does have mental illness, and like it's an exploration of that. I was just like, I think I added it to my poll that day, because I was just like, yes, like that. And then one of my favorite writers did the story for it, and I was like, yes. And I was so excited that I didn't have time to read it this week, but I bet it's gonna be awesome.
Each one of his personalities, we're sitting there talking to him about, there's no way that we're not real, because do you know how painful it is that I saw my friends go through this, and I've had to do this.
And something that I really loved about this run, and Jonas just read the whole thing, so you know what I mean. So each person, they have their own distinct art style.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's something that I just absolutely loved. For Mr. Lockley, my favorite artist did his parts, and it's like, this is great. I love this.
Yes.
But there's just something about Moon Knight that's just and hopefully the show will start to like change that. It drives me bad when people are like, "Oh, he's just Batman," but crazy. No, he's not crazy.
No,
it's gross. I hate when people say that. And with this run, it really explores like how he deals with his BID.
Yeah.
It's handled respectfully, and there is a part, and I won't say it just for spoiler reasons, but it did make me very, very emotional. And I butcher this man's name every time we do this show. Lemire. He does a wonderful job. And one of these days, I'm just gonna pick one. But talk about him as like, well, shoot, is it Lemire? Like, which one is it?
I say we all vote to say it differently, and maybe one of us will like whatever we're throwing at. Maybe one of those times that'll be the right one. I say Lemire. I noticed something else too because he was wearing his yarmulke when he was a kid, like another Jewish. Like I was like, yes, that's so cool. Thank you. I feel better now.
I was thinking about that too. It's like I remember us talking about that on a previous episode. It's like, well, there's this character, and there needs to be more. Yeah. And I like the fact that that mark that he is Jewish. And again, I know for the show they have confirmed that he is Jewish, and like in MCU canon, which makes me happy. He's like, oh, cool.
Reading the whole thing, that's why I realized why they did the cover that they did. It was like lights, camera, action. And I'm like, we got to that certain part, and I was like, roll credits, but not really because there's more book. And that brings us to everybody get excited because it is, where are you? Bean's pick of the week. What are we reading this week, Bean?
I am picking Sweet Paprika.
Oh.
Yeah. Not safe for children, by the way. But it's interesting because it is, if you just look at the cover, if you just flip through, you're gonna be like, this is a very adult book. And maybe that's what's up, Jenna?
This is not for children.
But it is one of those where it has this kind of like image. If you look at the covers, if you look at the inside, it's like about, adult relationships. This book really, Sweet Paprika, which the full title is Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika, but it has a really good story. Like the story, and I'm so invested in these characters, and it has like that whole rom-com setup, but it's great. It's so good. And like where it is right now, I don't know if you guys will have time to read all 8 issues or if you'll get invested in it like I am and end up reading all of them. But issue 8 ends with, oh my God, this has happened. Oh my goodness. Like it's really good. It's very interesting, and like that's another thing to like discuss is like the whole like demon. There's so much symbolism too with like what you're supposed to do versus what you're not supposed to do, what's bad, what's good. It's a really deep book. Like I really enjoy it. So next week we're gonna have a lot to talk about it, hopefully. Or you guys might just be like, you made me look at a bunch of boobs.
Well, I need to go read this tonight. So on that, it has been us, the Space Cadets, and we were so glad that you guys joined us. We can't wait to see you next week. Bye.
Bye.